My house is currently a mess. Um, it's been this way a while. It's kind of turned into a workshop. This used to be my living room. That used to be my piano. But I think I like it this way. Since COVID, there's not too much to do, so it's slowly become this. And it's extra messy lately because I've been ramping up efforts to get my van ready for trip number 4. Version 3 of the heat exchanger. You might have seen in my last video that I was working on a heat recovery ventilator, and back then I was calling it the heat exchanger, which it is, but more specifically it's an HRV or heat recovery ventilator. The first version I built worked pretty well, so here it is. The difference between my first, pretty big size difference. This is about 50% efficient, so that's the much better option. And then the best option is the rotating wheel heat exchanger or ventilator. And so I worked on this version, version 2. I ended up designing it. I was happy with the design. So let me show you what happened next. Failed print. Failed print. Failed print. Failed print. Failed. I tried 4 different printers and they each failed in their own way. It's a really difficult shape and size for my printers, so I gave up on that. The disc inside actually worked pretty well. I had 2 versions, one a bigger version, one a smaller. And inside here would have been an aluminum coil which absorbs the heat of the outgoing air, rotates and transfers it to the incoming air. And that was the principle behind it. But again, really difficult to print. So on to version 3. Similar concept, but instead of a rotating disc, it's a stationary cube, and I have it right here. And instead of 3D printing, I'm going to prototype it with just corrugate plastic like this. Now the story behind these HRV cubes, or cores actually, I decided to look on Kijiji and see if I could get something a lot sooner than if I were to order from China. A new one would have been in the thousands of dollars, so I ended up contacting someone in my city, and I got this one for $120. I took it all apart because as it is for the home, it's gigantic. And it uses really big fans with a lot more airflow than I need. And then what I did, I cut the cube in half. So this was actually one big cube. Now let's take a minute to see how this works. Air going through here can only come out the opposite end of the cube. And same on this end. Air going in here can only come out on this end. The air channels can never interact. These are actually sheets that separate each channel. But what it does allow is the heat to be absorbed by these aluminum sheets and transfer from one channel onto another. Let's say the air is going out of the van through this channel, and that's hot air. And then this air is coming from outside of the van into the van, and it's cold air. And so it takes the heat from these metal sheets and reabsorbs it into the incoming air. Next, what I'm going to do is take these parts, cut a hole over here, and I'm going to attach this 3D printed coupler to the cutout over here. And I'm going to do that for all 4 sides. That should give me an efficiency of roughly 80 to 90%. Now on a side note, my rotating HRV is actually a lot better. That can get as high as 95%. But the build is much more complex, so I'm not gonna bother with it for now. I might save it for later. And here I am cutting out the corrugate plastic shapes that will then fold into the vent adapters, or whatever it's called, like that. I almost have 4. This adapter is going to get glued right on top of this hole. And then they're gonna go on top. And right now, I was just working on the fan control, and I actually went through 8 or so different fans. I measured the voltage, amperage, the decibel reading, and sound, which was not accurate since I used my phone, so I kind of disregarded that. I have a actual decibel meter on order that's going to arrive tomorrow. And then I have the air volume, and I had a meter for that, so that was quite accurate. The wattage, and then this is the efficiency, so how much air volume per watt can each fan produce in this setup. And I was also trying to reduce the sound, and this little foam lip helped quite a bit. So I'm pretty happy. I'm set on this fan. It's from Amazon. It had the highest efficiency. Per person, I need about 15 CFM so that I have a healthy amount of CO2 and not more. And at that level, it's pretty quiet. And with a box that I might make to isolate it even further, it should be silent. As you can see, I have a web control here that lets me control it. So when I bump this up to 100, it gets quite loud. So for now, I can manually control it through the web client, which I get access on my phone, my tablet, laptop, whatever I bring with me. And I'm going to try, before I leave on this trip, to have these readings automatically adjust this fan speed. So if it detects anything toxic or too high CO2 levels, it's going to gently increase the fan speed or decrease it. Or again, if it detects something toxic, it's going to bump it up to 100 to get that out of there. Toxic things could be like TVOCs, and I don't have that sensor programmed yet. I just haven't updated the libraries for that in Arduino. That's my little sensor box taken apart. Testing it out right now outside. I was having some reading issues with, I guess, crummy power supplies. Now I've got a good power supply and I'm getting pretty good readings. So what else am I going to do for the next trip? All right, I've got my wood stove. It was on sale on Amazon. And it's all right. I actually brought it in the house last night with the pipe coming out of the door. I want to experiment with that in my van for this trip. It'll be cool. I'm not going to drill a hole for the chimney yet because I don't know exactly what that design will be, but I'll probably use it outside and then maybe bring it outside and stick the chimney out the window. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be part of the fun. And I did get some new gear. I got these Banff Monster winter boots. They can actually go down to negative 70 Celsius. That's what they say they're rated for. I also got some snow pants since I didn't have any. I think they're the Columbia Run 2s. So they don't have much insulation, but they have this reflective interior. So with a liner underneath, it should be pretty good. And then I got this jacket. And this is the North Face. So it's a 2-layer. It has the outer shell, which is windproof, waterproof. And then it has an inside shell with synthetic fibers, not down, because I thought if I got wet, I didn't want the down to affect me. And it was a 2-in-1 on sale, so that was pretty good. I got that. So I'll be testing these out on the next trip also.